Hey guys, happy anniversary to me. 1 year anniversary of having a YouTube channel, doing YouTube videos for my company. I didn't set out, as a vanity project. As a matter of fact, I was trying to figure out how to do this and not be on video. I'm sure there's been some other people out there thinking the same thing. But I did want to start a YouTube channel for my company for several reasons. There was some inspiration, timing related things, and like a lot of things, when you've never done it before, there's trepidation about how you're going to do it. How did I get started? What have I learned so far? What has worked for me? And so this video is for anybody who's been watching my channel. Maybe this will interest you. People out there who are trying to start YouTube channels or have already started YouTube channels, whatever it is. It's not so much about YouTube and YouTube channels, but just if you're doing this, especially if you're doing it for a company, or I guess if you're doing it for personal reasons, some of the things that you'll encounter and maybe some things that you can take away from this video that'll help you. So here's a list of some of the various things, including what inspired me to start the YouTube channel to begin with. First thing is I'm at one of my job sites, but I'm down here close to the lake because it's Texas and it's already getting hot here in what is late May. And so behind me is one of our great homes under construction. The painters are in there making a lot of noise right now and overspray going everywhere, so I'm not going to be inside the house. I think this is a good location. So I want to first talk about the inspiration that kind of motivated me to start this YouTube channel for the company. Funny thing, I think I've had a YouTube channel for Legacy Classic Homes for years. I just never put anything on it. And if you are just tuning in and don't know anything about my channel, my name is Steve. I own Legacy Classic Homes in Dallas-Fort Worth. We're a custom builder doing nice upscale custom homes on owners' lots. I'm getting into some other things like remodel and barn dominiums and all this kind of stuff also. But the bread and butter of the company has been upscale custom homes built on owners' lots, so very niche business. I got motivated to start a YouTube channel for the company 1 year ago, which is what the video is about here, 1 year anniversary. And there were a few things that kind of converged to cause me to do it. So first things first, I'm a YouTube person, and by YouTube person, I don't mean I'm on it right now in a video. I mean, I watch YouTube. It is my platform. My wife sits next to me in the chair and she's on Instagram, watching the 2-minute videos or whatever it is and moving on. I've always been a YouTube person. I've got some serious hobbies over the years that YouTube's been great for. I can watch videos on that and things related to my building industry. So there's some people I watch related to home building, and of course now that I've started doing YouTube, I even watch these people that tell you how to do YouTube. So it's a great platform for that, I think, for information. Did you know YouTube is the second largest search engine next to Google? Google owns YouTube, so people use YouTube for a lot of how-to stuff also. I do it. There's a video I go back to multiple times now to descale my Keurig water thing, coffee thing. So, videos like that, and I think that video is like 10 years old. So videos can last forever, and that's kind of the beauty of YouTube. So what actually motivated me to do this, first off, I'm into YouTube. Secondly, I really started to notice video is becoming a huge platform. And when I say video is a platform, video's been around forever. But I used to be a reader. Read books, magazines. Again, with my hobbies, I was getting magazines. Even with websites, I was online all the time reading websites about the stuff I was into. And I started noticing in the past few years that more and more of what even the search results pull up are videos, as well as a lot of the one hobby I'm really into. It's gotten to the point there's hardly any websites left for it anymore. It's all video. You go to, Hobby X here, I'm not going to name it in this video, but, and it's on YouTube. You see everything on YouTube. So clearly video has become the predominant media that people are, kind of tuning into. I think websites still have a great place, especially with a home building company. You need to have a website for people to get information, to, if you have speculative homes for sale out there, all that. Websites are great, but video is becoming the thing. So from my standpoint, I wanted to where I saw the importance of that. But there was somebody I've been watching on YouTube for years that is in home building that was the biggest inspiration. So for those of you watching my videos that may be builders or contractors or just people into this stuff, you probably have seen Matt Reisinger. So Matt is a builder just 3 hours south of me in Austin. And the guy has been doing videos since YouTube started, which YouTube I think just had their 20th anniversary. So he's been doing videos since 2005. And he has been a great resource for a lot of people. He was doing videos when probably nobody was watching YouTube. He is what I would call a pro's pro. He goes very deep on a lot of construction related stuff. Probably would be extremely boring for the layperson. You know, air sealing and all these kind of things that for us builders that are into that, it's been a great resource. He has done so well that he's become kind of a phenomenon in the industry. And I've even heard him say he doesn't even really deal with his customers in his home building company anymore. For the most part, his partner does. And he is literally just off doing all the video stuff. He's got, you know, whatever, 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube. He goes around to the shows. He's become a bit of a star in the home building industry. That's not what motivated me to do the YouTube channel. I was not out to become a YouTube star. I'm not going to become one. I was not out for YouTube to pay me money. Sure, I've heard that before. You can make money on YouTube. None of that was the goal. The extremely ironic thing that I got from Matt Reisinger that inspired me to do this came from his podcast. So yeah, it wasn't one of his videos, it was his podcast. So I also love podcasts. Anybody who drives a lot loves podcasts. And he's created one recently, I think within the past year or so, and I was listening to one where he was talking about his YouTube journey. And he was talking about early in the process, or I assume it was pretty early in the process, he had somebody call him, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase this, but they said, hey, you know, my husband and I have been watching your videos. We feel like we know you. We want you to build our house for us. And Matt said something, or he said he was thinking, you mean the video that's gotten like 40 views? So, you know, that was kind of funny because I can relate. But he kind of went on to say his point was he discovered this phenomenon with people seeing you on video. They see you, they like you, they feel you're authentic or whatever it is. And in the case of this particular industry, they say, hey, I want to work with that guy. That's when the light bulb went off. I say that because there are some people on YouTube that I watch that I feel the same way about. And what's funny is in the past year or so, I've taken over, there's all kinds of things I've gotten into, but another one is SEO, search engine optimization, where I'm kind of doing everything for my own company website and all that now because I enjoy it. It's a challenge. So with that said, there are SEO people on YouTube that I watch, I get information from, and I have drilled down on a few people that I like. One's a lady, and I think the rest are guys, 2 or 3 guys. And it's the same phenomenon. As a matter of fact, one of them I reached out to, you know, could I pay you to do SEO for me? Because just like that Reisinger story, I felt the same way. I like this guy, I feel he's authentic, knows what he's talking about. So hey, you know, that's who I want to work with. I don't remember that person, as it turns out, I don't think they actually do it for other people. They're just all on YouTube now. So there are some people making, you know, money on YouTube. Again, not my goal. My goal was to use this format to have that very same phenomenon that Matt Reisinger is talking about, to have somebody call and say, hey, you know, we're watching your videos, we like what you have to say, we would like to talk about working with you, if they're in this area. Now, I'm in Dallas-Fort Worth, and I understand that we're just a tiny, tiny piece of the United States. So a lot of these videos are probably being watched from other states. They're people that I'm never gonna do business with. But that's the other part that's been enjoyable. I'm now in my 3rd decade, 31st year in this business. Yeah, it goes fast because I didn't think, you know, it's one of those things, I don't feel that old, and yet, yeah, I've been doing this for 30 years, 31 years. So I do have a lot of information to impart. I didn't realize I had as much as I did until I started doing YouTube videos, and that's been an interesting phenomenon of me doing videos. It makes me think of more things to talk about, many of which I think can be good for other builders or other people building homes, people just interested in this, because you know, I would jump on things like Reddit and some of these things and just see some of the information. Sometimes I even hear it. And there's just a lot of bad information out there, right? People throw up something on Reddit in the home building subreddit and ask, you know, what's going on? And there's 50 responses, 40 of which are not that great. So I thought this is a way to just help educate people in this business, people that want to be in the business, people that are, again, having homes built. So I'm kind of, Matt Reisinger's being the pro's pro, I'm kind of trying to hit the consumer and some people interested in home building, maybe those that are in the business also. So that's my long-winded inspirational story about how I got into it. Now I'll talk about some of the technical things and also just performance-related things I've dealt with. Thought I'd move positions so this beautiful house was in the background. Just trying to stay out of the sun so it doesn't kill the shot. But hey, these are the things you think of when you're doing YouTube now. Next part I want to talk about is how did I do it? In other words, what did I decide to do for equipment? How did I get started doing these videos? The first thing I try to do is figure out how to not be in the videos. So again, when I say it's not a vanity project, I had another thing I did in my life that was a little bit in the entertainment side, but it wasn't video. I've always said I could never be an actor. I never wanted to be on camera. And the first thing, I think the first video I ever posted was just some AI thing. I'd seen some other guy that I watched that's an installation guy, and he's never on camera. He's always narrating. But I learned pretty quickly that wasn't gonna work for what I'm doing. And so, you know, a lot of times you have to be show and tell, and they're pointing at the piece of wood or the piece of concrete. And so I tried one of those AI videos, I tried a few things, I researched the heck out of stuff. So that's one thing about me, is when I decide I'm gonna do something, I wanna at least understand it. And especially if I'm gonna buy some equipment that's a little bit expensive, I'll research to high heaven to figure out what I need to buy. So I started doing that and ultimately settled on, okay, I'm gonna buy some equipment, I'm gonna keep it minimal. So the camera I'm using to shoot this video, I'll throw it up on the screen, but it is a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. It's a little skinny gimbal camera that has stabilization and all that, has a ton of features, but ultimately, as you see in most of my videos, I'm doing walk and talk while I'm holding it selfie style. Comes with a great wireless mic that gives excellent audio. And as somebody that used to kind of, again, deal with some things that were also on the audio side, that's important to me. I wanted good audio. So basically just bought that, a tripod. Now, I went to town decorating one of my offices as a studio. I thought that was something that I was gonna do, you know, black curtains and sit at a desk and talk and all that. And I tried it and I didn't like it. So the hardest thing to first learn how to do if you are going to be on camera is to look at the camera. So the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 I'm holding right now, also below the camera I'm looking directly at, has a little screen below it, a viewfinder that I'm on right now. And it took a while. There's videos I can look at and I'm doing this. I'm looking at the screen. Okay, so you have to get used to talking into a camera when there's nobody there, and that can be hard to do. I did not like sitting at that desk and talking into a camera. There's all kind of cool things with the Osmo. You can have it set to your phone and just hit, you know, record and stop and all that, and it can be super convenient, but it wasn't super comfortable sitting at a desk doing that. So then I started taking it out into the field, into some of the homes I was building. First thing I did, and it's got a really cool feature where it can follow you. So you can set this camera on a tripod, have it follow you and walk around, and you don't need a camera person with you. It's got limitations on that, but it actually works really well. I was doing that for a little bit. That was a better comfort level than sitting at a desk in a studio, but it wasn't perfect. And then at some point, I grabbed the camera selfie style and I started walking around, and I found my happy place, which is what I'm doing right now, standing here just spinning around with this camera in my hand. The only problem is your arm gets tired, but it's comfortable. It's comfortable for me, and when I say comfortable, it's not physically comfortable on my arms, but it is comfortable to walk and talk, right? And these things, camera spins around real easy, and so I'll often be walking a house and talking about something, and okay, I'm gonna turn the camera around and show that. And so it's great for that, shoots in 4K and all that. And that has become, over the last several months, what I like doing now. These microphones also, I bought a second one. I'm going to eventually start doing some interviews with people in the industry also. For that, I either will use the tripod or will have somebody holding the camera for me. But you can have two of these, and they're synced directly, they're really transmitters, synced directly to the Osmo, and they work and sound great as you hear right now. So that's the equipment I got for really mobile shooting. Now, another thing that I started doing is when I'm shooting videos in the office, still not as comfortable doing that as I am just doing this, standing here talking while holding the camera. But gotten used to doing that also. It's convenient. I can be sitting at my desk, and I've had times at the end of the day an idea comes into my head, and I'll just do a video there at my desk. What I did was buy a good webcam, a 4K webcam. It's a Logitech Brio MX, I think, and got an external mic. I did not spend a lot on the mic, but it sounds fine. And yeah, sometimes I'll just shoot videos at my desk. I will replace the background. If you guys have been watching my videos, you probably can tell when I've done that. I'm not trying to be, you know, George Lucas here. It's, there's some artifacts in your hair and stuff, but I'm just using the AI of the editing program. It'll pull the background out and I can insert whatever I want. Oftentimes it's the houses I build, and sometimes it's other things. So that has been kind of the approach to starting to shoot video. I will say reps are everything. The other thing I started doing was just watching all these YouTube people that tell you how to do YouTube. A lot of them are, you know, they're trying to get people to figure out how to get more views and all that kind of stuff. And again, I was not setting out. The last thing I wanted to do was clickbait. If you know what clickbait is, if you look on a YouTube video that you see what they call the thumbnail, it's the picture of the video. I hate the clickbait stuff, you know, just some outrageous claim. And, you know, I even see videos related to my industry where people are saying, you know, the 5 worst builders in Dallas-Fort Worth, or the 5 best builders in Dallas. And I'll look, and they got a lot of views on that kind of video, but that's not what I'm about. I am a professional home builder, and I want these videos to be about that. So I'm not going to do clickbaity stuff. I'm not trying to get tons of views per video. This is a long game. I'm putting information out there that hopefully is helpful to people. Again, hopefully people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area see it, want to work with me because of it. And so that's really the goal. It's a slow burn with YouTube when you're doing it like I am, but as I'll get to, there are some interesting results that you can get from it. So going back to the shooting of the videos, I just decided to start shooting videos. I have a perfectionist quality about me with certain things, and there would have been a time I might have taken forever or shot 10 videos and thought, no, you know, I need the perfect one before I put one on YouTube. But I listen to everybody's advice, and that's just start shooting videos, right? The first ones are gonna suck, technical term, but they'll get better. You'll learn how to talk better, you'll come up with new content to talk about, and then in my case, also the editing side of it, which I'll talk about next. So I've talked about the inspiration, doing videos, doing more, getting reps, getting better at it. The thing I hadn't talked about yet, but I did just mention, is editing. The first video I did, I went and found an editor, I think on Fiverr. I now know you shouldn't do that because they're generally not good. But hey, I didn't understand how to edit. I didn't want to learn that. It's enough that you're having to do this. You know, I'm having to talk to a camera, I'm having to do videos. I don't want to edit. I sent this video, it was one of the first things I ever did in my little studio, sent it off to an editor and got it back and paid, you know, too much for what it was. I don't know, 50, 60 some odd bucks with some tip they wanted. And I'm watching it going, okay, I could have done the same thing. I mean, there's basically nothing done. So that motivated me to start editing on my own. Now, one thing about editing, and you hear this a lot, is you oftentimes need a computer that has some horsepower. Graphics editing uses a lot of memory and processor power. My desktop was okay, my laptop was terrible, so I went and invested in a really good laptop to be able to edit at the house, and then I've got a good desktop at the office, and they work really well with editing software. But first, before I had the better computers, I just found a cloud-based editor. So that is an editor where everything is done on their servers, on the cloud, right? You're not using any processor power on your side. It's all online. And that worked great. I can't remember the name of the video right now. I'll put it in the list if I can remember. I'll go back and find it. They were great to use, a little bit simplified. And so it got me up to speed, which was great. And there was a great video out there. There's a guy who's a teacher that does videos, about how-to videos on different softwares, and he was fantastic. So I got up and running with that. It wasn't that hard, learned a few tips and tricks, and it was great. And then real quickly, I don't want to say I outgrew it, but you start checking in now to other video editing softwares, and you see all these great things out there, DaVinci and all these things. And one of the things I was always searching was still for beginners, right? The best editing software for beginners, because, hey, I'm still a beginner. And that was something that I wanted, a software that had a lot of capabilities, but wasn't too hard to take on. And so I came across CapCut. I didn't know anything about CapCut. I didn't know when I signed up for it that it's owned by ByteDance, which is TikTok. So it is the Chinese-owned company. I think I figured that out when it went offline for a day with the whole TikTok thing. At that point, though, I'll be honest with you, I was already a pretty dedicated user. And also at that point, after finding out who they were, if they had wanted to steal all of my information, they've probably done it already. So if that's a concern for you using a company like that, I get it. Don't use CapCut. I'd already been using them for a few months when I discovered that. That said, it's a phenomenal software for somebody who is newer to it. It's easy to use, but also has tons of pro features, including the AI type pro features. So when I talk about removing background, it's just an AI feature. I tried these things, green screens and different things, and in the end, I just use CapCut and hit the remove background, and then I can insert a different picture. It can be of one of these homes. It can be whatever I want. It can be of multi backgrounds. So that's what I do for editing. How do I feel about editing? Mixed feelings. I kind of like doing it, but it is a lot of work. And if I'm shooting a lot of raw video, which sometimes I've done, I've had days where I've been like, hey, I got a few ideas. I'm on a job site where there's some good things to talk about. I shoot quite a bit of what I call raw video takes. And then it's like, okay, I got a lot of stuff to edit. You will see my editing is not over the top because I'm not trying to spin my head and do all kinds of cool, transfers and things like that. It's more of just, hey, when it needs some cuts here or there or a transition, things like that, I do that. Occasionally I throw something up on the screen, like I'm sure I'll do in this video. But, I'm not going to town. I see some videos that are incredibly, the editing is incredible, and I do think that adds to the video. But in the end, I'm not trying to be the YouTube star. I wanted to be authentic. I wanted to shoot videos that people appreciate watching. And in the end, I'm walking around talking about paint and windows and doors and things like that. Sometimes I'm talking about other things, homeowner psychology and stuff, but it doesn't need crazy amounts of editing. So that's my theory on it. Maybe someday I'll start shooting the stuff off to somebody and be willing to pay for it. But right now, I like doing it myself. Another thing about shooting videos, and this isn't really one of my items, but it is interesting because you are on screen. And with 4K, you can see everything, right? So if anybody has actually been watching my videos, they may go, what the heck happened to Steve's nose? That's fun because I had a little bit of basal cell carcinoma, which is really common. Not the super bad, while it is a cancer, not the super bad one. But when it's on your face, they have to do a Mohs surgery. People out there watching may have been through this, but they slice and then they test it in the office so they know if they've got it, and they'll slice again. I had to do a couple slices. Then they stitch you all up and you look like you fought Mike Tyson afterwards. So I didn't do videos for a couple weeks, and then it's all crazy. The great thing about being 55 years old is I can't say I care that much anymore. If I were doing these videos when I was 25, well, I probably wouldn't have been doing the videos, right? Because needed to look perfect back then. Now it's, hey, it is what it is. We all get older, stuff happens. So just a little side note, when you're doing videos and stuff like that happens, you may need to step away from the video for a minute and come back when you feel like you're okay with being on camera. Okay, so after a year of doing these videos, now I am gonna walk and talk. What have I seen from it? Well, 1 year in, the channel only has so many subscribers, let's say 420 something, which doesn't sound like much at all, and it isn't much at all when you look at a channel that can have 20,000, 50,000, hundreds of thousands, some millions. And yet it is totally wild, because what I've learned is they call that now a vanity metric, because it's not related to how many people are watching your video. So my videos, even though I am still a small channel, they are getting, well, I as a channel am getting thousands of watches. So YouTube video will give you, and I'm going to put this up on the screen, they give you what they call analytics, and you can do it by all time, and then generally what they'll be showing you is a 28-day stretch, which they consider a month. And it's kind of crazy considering I'm a small channel. I can only imagine what the big channels think. It must just be very abstract, because my channel alone, there will be, again, a lot of views. The hour watch time over a month, over 28 days, is in the mid 500 to 600 hours of watching. So I think that's almost a month in days of watch time every month. Kind of meta. So in a way, it's kind of strange to look at your numbers and go, wow, there are a lot of people starting to watch these videos. I'm not doing anything, again, clickbaity. I'm not jumping off houses, or, you know, I'm just a builder walking around talking about it. But it's interesting to see it start to grow. And this is just 1 year in. So I've been telling people for a long time, this is a long game, a slow burn. Again, not trying to be a YouTube, you know, personality. It's about growing the channel for business purposes. But also, as kind of like I said, a side note to help educate people out there also. So there's that, there's the watch time, the watch hours. But I've also had the phenomenon happen to me now that Matt Risinger was talking about, that actually was the inspiration for me to start the video. As a matter of fact, it is a Friday as I shoot this video. It was Monday of this week. Picked up the phone and a lady said, "Is this Steve?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "I've watched all your YouTube videos." And that's not the first time that's happened now. And she said, "I want you to look at building my house," told me the city she was in. It's interesting because the calls I get from the city, typically the homes are smaller. And so, you know, I never know. I never try to guess what's going to happen. I just said, okay, you know, and she explained she had a floor plan. And I said, well, that's great. You know, just send me your floor plan. I was in process of getting ready to drive down to Houston. I said, I'll look at it when I'm down there. And I love it. The painter's in there singing opera. So she sends me the floor plan, and it's not a small house. You know, it's, I don't know, 5,000 square foot living. And not only is it that big of a house, it's just got a, you know, massive amount of garages and porte-cochere and motor courts and all this kind of stuff. And I went, okay, that has happened now. Somebody has watched my stuff, and this is not the first person. I've had several people now. I had a guy a week or two ago, this was interesting, called me, same thing. I've been watching all your videos. I want to come meet with you. I've got some property. It was interesting because in the end, he was really there to pick my brain because he wants to be a builder. And he is kind of using my video as inspiration. I didn't mind. You know, there's number one, there's enough to go around for everybody. And you never know where something like that's going to go. Somebody like that could say, hey, come in and partner with me, or whatever it is. So I'm always, the older I get, the more I'm in the, you know, I even get calls from people that they're calling the wrong builder, and I'll still help them with stuff. And they're like, thank you so much. And I just say, hey, you never know what's going to come around. One of my Google reviews, I think it is from somebody I did not build a house for. I worked with him on building his house. I spent quite a bit of time with him. He ended up going with the other builder that was primarily building in the neighborhood. But he said, you were so good to work with that I want to give you a review, even though you technically didn't build my house. And that was awesome. So that kind of stuff is important. And so the YouTube video channel is now already starting to see that. I guess when Matt Risinger said, you know, I thought, you mean the video that had 40 views? That's probably what he was feeling. That's kind of how I feel now. I'm getting calls from people who are finding me, you know, on YouTube and found you on Reddit and all this kind of stuff. I am, by the way, a 55-year-old who was not going to let the world pass him by. So I'm somebody who's kind of techie and am into all this, and so, you know, I think there's probably some older builders that are of a generation that are just like, I'm not going to mess with all that stuff. I get plenty of business with referrals, and that's fine. I'm somebody that finds all this interesting and challenging, and I really wanted to jump into it and do it. So that's what I've been doing. So I think, you know, I'm going to do another video a year from now, the 2-year video. It'll be interesting to see how many subscribers I have, how many views I get, how much of that kind of response of people calling, going, hey, I've seen your videos, want to work with you kind of thing. Because I can see now that's a reality. And I'm glad I did this. It has also, on top of everything else, made me think more about my business, which is interesting. So when you are thinking about videos to shoot, sometimes you're just thinking about your business in general. I've become much more inquisitive about my business, you know, as it is. Part of this is we are doing bigger and nicer homes now. For a lot of years, I did nice houses, but it was kind of a paint by numbers custom home. You know, maybe they weren't that big, 3,000, 3,500 square feet, kind of typical finish out and all that. Whereas now I'm getting into these really custom homes where we're doing some really cool things inside of them. Sometimes I'm really having to learn about new techniques and new products, and that's kind of opened up I don't want to say Pandora's box because it's been a good thing, but it's just been, I've been interested in learning more about my own business that I've been in for 3 decades now. So from that perspective, YouTube is helping me as a builder, both with being a builder, you know, how to build a house better, as well as how to work with customers better. All of that also works out well with getting older because, you know, your kind of attitude changes. You know, when I was younger, I might not have been as patient as I am now. I might not have had the perspective I have now, which is that, hey, these people I'm building a house for, they don't understand the process. And so I have to educate them, I have to set expectations, I have to manage those expectations to give them the best experience that I can when they're building one of these fantastic houses. Matter of fact, I'm gonna finish this video on one of my old walk and talks. I like to call them that now. And just kind of show you, this is the house on the lake that we're doing. This house is, I want to say it's about 3,900 square foot living, so it's a good size house, not huge, but it's got some neat features. You can see that right back there. That is an attached greenhouse. And then I just did a video about some slab on grade stuff. This is a house that has a actually slightly dropped garage from the main house slab. And we just finished with the final grade. So you look back here, everything's all graded out and looks nice. And so we are working towards getting this one finished up. We've got painters working on it now. This big patio here is going to be all screened in. It's going to be really cool. So, hey, I'll finish my video about YouTube with a video about why I'm doing YouTube in the first place, which is one of our custom homes. So I hope this video helped anybody out there who, number one, is just interested in why I started doing this. If you're doing it, if you're interested in doing it, it's been fun. I think it's added a new dimension to what I do. It does put more on your plate now besides just what I have to manage as a business owner. I'm now having to shoot videos and edit them, but I've just started doing that a lot of times in my free time, and it's been fun. So I told my wife, hey, sometimes you're gonna watch your TV show and I'm gonna sit here on my laptop and edit videos. So I hope this helped you guys, hope you enjoy it. I'll see you on the next one.